get started.
Okay, go ahead and call the Thursday, February 1st work session of the Keystone Central School District. Order, please stand for a flag salute and a moment of silence.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Dr. Baldino. They need to unmute. Can you unmute them, Colton? Oh, he's not there anymore. Mr. Cannon,
Here.
Mrs. Donahue,
Here.
Mr. Elling,
Present.
Mr. Johnston,
Here.
Mr. Knopf,
Here.
Ms. Lynch,
Here.
Mr. Scaff,
Here.
and Mrs. Smith. Here. 8 members present.
Bill's
Is he,
unmuted.
okay.
This is Baldino. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. 9 members present.
I am indeed here.
All right, next up, we'll have a presentation from the Liberty Curtains Kindness Squad.
First, I'd like to thank you for giving us this opportunity tonight to let our students showcase some of the great things that we're doing at Liberty Curtin Elementary School. With me this evening, I have members of our Kindness Squad. Our Kindness Squad is members from our 4th grade class. We have approximately 30 members in our Kindness Squad. I also have our 3 advisors, Mrs. Bringard, Dr. Weaver, and Mrs. Smith along with us this evening. But I'm going to turn it over to the students to kind of showcase the great things that they're doing and the kindness that they're spreading to our students and our community.
LC Kindness Squad Board Presentation. Liberty Curtin was awarded a kindness grant from the Choose Kindness Foundation to spread kindness throughout our school and community for the 2022 through 2023. We particularly in many activations last year themed around kindness and saw such a change in our students that we decided to continue with it this year with all the amazing events that we saw unfold. Last year with our Kindness Squad, we branched out to other grades and have included responsible students on our PBIS reward community that promotes and rewards those students who are following our 5 school-wide rules: being safe, be responsible, be respectful, be kind, and be present.
Our Kindness Squad members act as representatives for our school. They are students who are interested in leadership roles, have a positive attitude, enjoy helping others, are accepting of others, have good communication skills, and follow and promote our 5 school-wide rules. We have 10 members of our Kindness Squad with us today to introduce themselves.
My name is Waylon. My name's Mia. Skylar. Savannah. Avery. Easton. Easton. Madeline. Callan. Ayla.
Now we have a short video we want to show you. right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amahazu. That's just another example of some of the fantastic things going into a school every day. So, thanks, kids. Next, we have the end of year report. I think that's Ms. McIntyre.
That was the whole school, wasn't it?
Well, just keep in mind, when Liberty Curtain does something, they go big. So
I thought they came here to listen to my report.
somehow I don't think so,
Good
Joni.
bedtime story for us. Okay, this is actually just the same presentation that we had in January, but we kind of made the recommendations in January. So this is, again, this is a replication of the report with the actual resolutions following in the agenda. So the first item is just, this is the end of the year report that you will also see next week with the auditors are here. So you can go ahead and turn the page. This is just the year-end summary where we landed at the 2022-23 budget. And then with the actuals, you'll see that we came in with a surplus of $2.3 million. The next page. It is with the administration recommendations that we take that surplus and move 1.7 to capital fund for the capital projects. I want to say bucket capital projects bucket in Fund 10 for the Liberty Curtain project cost. This is cash needed in addition to the bond dollars for the project. In addition, we'd recommend to transfer $640,748 to Fund 32, which is the actual capital project fund. That's to also to assist in the 10-year facility plan projects like the girls' locker room at Bucktail High School, and also assist in the installation of the rooftop units at the high school. Go ahead, next slide. This slide shows where the actual was for 21-22. This is predicted, which is actually the actual for 22-23. At the bottom, you can see the unassigned fund balance. That is without moving any of the transfers to 1.7 or committing the 1.7 and transferring the 600,000. Which would make our unassigned fund balance of about 10.4, which is higher than PDE would like to see an unassigned fund balance. The proposed, again, is the last column for 20, which we would propose in 23-24, was shifting the committed funds and the transferred funds would then put us at a healthy 7.2 with the fund balance at 6.4. And again, further down the agenda, you'll see the resolutions to commit the 1.7 and to transfer the 640,000. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Jenny. Hearing of visitors, I think we have one signed up. Please step up to the microphone and state your name and address, please. And be reminded you have 4 minutes in.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Whitney. My address is 1037 Partridge Circle, Lock Haven. I'm here tonight to advise you again that you're in violation of Sunshine Law. And I noticed on your agendas that you had added items that are definitely not delimited items that equaled almost $300,000. This doesn't, when you add things to agendas, it doesn't give the public the opportunity to review and then decide whether or not they want to be in a meeting here to say, well, I agree with this or I don't agree with this. So you're thwarting the public's participation, which is something that you're always mentioning that you would like to see. You're mentioning that you'd like to see public participation even in your own policies. The second thing that you are violating is that you adopted Robert's rules, and that is in your own policy manual. That is last revised October 12th of 2023. So the original board members voted on this. And all board meetings shall be conducted in an orderly and businesslike manner. Robert's Rules of Order shall govern the board in its deliberations in all cases in which it is not inconsistent with law, state regulation, or board procedures. So you've adopted Robert's rules, but what you're doing is you're passing entire agendas in one fell swoop. Robert's Rules doesn't support that. While Robert's Rules supports consent calendar, that is to move mundane tasks, things that you don't want to have to go over from week to week or month to month or whatever. It's not meant to pass action items, which is what you did at the last meeting. I think that if I remember correctly, that was also at the financial committee as well. So those are both sunshine law violations. And it only hurts everything. It hurts the community. It hurts you as the board because it makes you look like you're guilty of something. It makes you look like you're trying to hide things. I would assume that you're not trying to hide things. So why wouldn't you want to be open and honest and be one with the public? That's all I really have to say. There was over $300,000 added to the agenda, which should raise some alarms. Nothing? Any questions? No statement?
Thank you.
Would you agree that passing the entire agenda is not a good move? I mean, these are action items you have listed here. Why would you not want to discuss that in the public eye? If you want the public to be involved, and I think you need us, you should probably speak to us and allow us to participate. But when you move these agendas in this order, we can't participate. We don't know what's going on. My friend came in tonight and the first thing he asked me was, are there any agendas? What are we doing? He's got a good point. While you guys know exactly what's going on, the rest of us, we don't have a clue.
Yeah, they're over there on top of that cabinet.
Awesome, thank you. But I'm just trying to make the point that you can gain a lot from the public, but we have to be able to participate. In order to participate, we have to be welcomed and we have to be provided with the information that we need in order to have input.
Are the agendas not online where they can see them also?
No.
Yeah.
So I thought-
Michelle, your time's up. And I want to thank you for bringing that stuff to our attention. We'll discuss it among ourselves and hopefully if we have deficits, we'll correct our deficits.
I like that. Thank you very much. I hope that you will open up the sections of the agenda instead of passing them all at one time. Because even if you look at the agenda, I still have no idea what you're talking about. I can go online and look at things. I still don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have the superintendent's report, but before I introduce Dr. Redmond, I just wanted, I had the pleasure of going to the courthouse tonight to watch this afternoon to watch him getting sworn in. And it was a very nice ceremony. It was presided over by President Judge Miller. Judge Saxon was there. County commissioners were all there, representatives from children and youth and probation, adult and juvenile. It was nice to see all the county coming together to welcome Dr. Redmond. So I want to thank them for being there and hopefully we can continue the cooperation we've had in the past and maybe go a little bit farther and make it a little bit better. So having said that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Dr. Redmond.
Thank you very much. This is an exciting day for me. I don't have a lot in terms of a report, but I do have a bit of a statement that I'd like to read. As you mentioned today, I've been sworn in, so I am officially the superintendent of the Keystone Central School District. And I have to say that I've received a very warm welcome from the community and from the staff, and everywhere I go in the district, it's a very welcoming and wholesome place, and I'm very happy to be here. The time that I've been able to work with Jackie and our team has been a critical support for my transition, and the continuity of service to our kids and our community. I have met with principals, directors, central office staff, and community groups already, although the work of developing relationships has only started. Joni and I have spent time together looking at the budget, and the work of reducing expenditures where and when we can is well underway. Randy and I have also connected with each other, and I know that we, along with the directors and cabinet, will be a very strong team together. I want to thank the Board of Education for allowing me the opportunity to serve the kids and the community of the Keystone Central School District. I'm looking forward to our relationship and our partnership, our team of 10, as we continue on the strong path that you all have helped shape. What we continue to do together to prepare citizens for the challenges and opportunities of the future will help our team develop lifelong learners who are adaptable, resilient, productive, and of high moral character. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Edmond. Next, we're going to have a report from our student government. I saw Martin was online. I don't know if he's going to do it. Someone here from Central Mountain, and what about Central Mountain Middle School? I guess we'll start with you since you're here.
Good evening. My name is Claire Bowman. I'm the Central Mountain High School Student Body Representative, Student Government Representative. Currently at Central Mountain High School, we just had district choir and district band students qualify for regional festivals. Our winter sports continue to see success on the courts, in the pool, and on the mat. Multiple Skills USA students won their district events and are now moving on to state level competitions to be held in Hershey in the spring. Monday saw a new semester and marking period starting new classes for all students. As far as student government, earlier today we Zoomed with the student government students at Bucktail. This allowed for their students to ask us questions about our process. They are now working on their bylaws that will fit Bucktail student body. We have now almost finished our bylaws. We plan on reading through them at our next meeting and hope to see a ratification vote in the coming weeks. If everything goes as planned, we hope to give a formal presentation to the board at the March work meeting. Before I close, I would like to extend another welcome and congratulations to Dr. Redmond. We look forward to having the opportunity to meet with our group in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Is someone here from the middle school?
Katie Allen, she's our 7th grader. She's Central Mountain Middle School Vice President.
Hi, Katie, welcome.
Now you're on the spot.
Hello, my name is Katie Owens, and I am honored to serve as the Vice President for Student Government at Central Mountain Middle School. I wanted to share some exciting updates with you regarding our efforts to enhance the school experience for our students. In the past few weeks, with help and guidance from Ms. Welsh and Mr. Romanishin, we have been going around classrooms in pairs during WIN, introducing the concept of student government and explaining to the class both what we are and what we are planning for our school. To encourage open communication, we've created a Google form where students can share their suggestions and ideas on how to improve our school. Up until this point, the students haven't put many pressing issues in the form. Most of them have been about lunch seating or food, which we will address to the best of our ability, and we will regularly check the form and keep our eyes open for any concerns. Moving forward and throughout the rest of the year, we are dedicated to be present for our students. We want every student to know that Central Mountain Middle School student government is here to listen and help. Additionally, we want our fellow students to be informed and updated on our initiatives, so we plan to give regular updates on what we are doing to improve the school. I am eager to see how we can positively improve our school and foster the connection between the students and administration through student government. Together, we can create an environment where every student feels heard, valued, and proud to be a part of Central Mountain Middle School.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you.
Mr. Polito, are you going to give the Bucktail one or is Martin?
So recently, I got to talk to the mic. Sorry, people won't be able to hear me. Anyways, recently our student government had some questions about the block scheduling process, and they had the opportunity to sit down with our instructional coach, Mrs. Hewling, to discuss pros and cons and like general ideas behind the block scheduling. And they're doing some really exciting work right now. They reached out to some similar sized schools as Bucktail, and they were inquiring to their administrative teams and things like that about how they structure their classes. They're doing some, collecting some data from our teachers and students on how they feel about block data. So I have some perception data too. And Martin and the rest of the team right now are working on compiling that, and they want to present it to you guys next month's board meeting. So it's gonna be pretty exciting. I'm proud of the work they're doing.
Thank you. All right, moving right along. Next would be the committee report. We'll start with the policy committee. Leave that to you, Chris.
Yeah. We had a meeting on January 10th, where I was voted to be the chairman for this year for the policy committee. We had a discussion on a policy revision cycle that has been going on, I guess, the last couple of years, where they're updating old policies and bringing them up to speed. We had a discussion on policy 701.1 on naming rights, which we're going to get into a little bit here. That's further on down the line. There was a thing on the remote work we discussed, and we kind of pushed that over to have that policy reviewed with the personnel committee and the PIC committee with the ACCE. And then we're going to get together and come back with other recommendations on that. The KC policy silico review, policy 118 independent study, policy 119 current events, policy 121 field trips. Those policies will be reviewed by Mrs. Hall and Mrs. Manning, and changes to the trip policy are important. We're going to get back into that. Updates are to provide clear intent and legal protection for the district. And then the last thing we did was the PSBA revisions on policy 248 and 348, and that's scheduled on their agenda later too. So I'll bring that up to speed. That's it.
Thank you. Report from curricular, co-curricular.
Excuse me,
I'm sorry, Elizabeth.
that's okay. Chair Chris, I have a comment, please.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I'd like to make a formal request that for your next policy committee meeting, February 14th, 10 o'clock, that the policy committee review and discuss policy number 005. So please place it on the agenda. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, next, curricular, co-curricular.
Paulie, you want to go with that?
Yep, I can. So we met on the 16th. Champions provided us with an update on their program and how it's going. They told us about the possibility of a summer program at Woodward and Robb. Megan Hall gave us updates on the course guide, letting us know that Penn College no longer offers Math 125 due to low enrollment, and Math 124 can only go for one section of the next school year. Megan's still exploring other dual enrollment possibilities, and she's also looking into bringing leadership into the high school level as an elective course. And currently it's only at the middle school level, but I guess it's doing pretty good. So they want to bring it up to high school. Let's see. Dave Peters and James Polito gave us some information on the co-op agreements, potential changes to that. They did an application for the girls wrestling now that that's a sanctioned sport, and they're looking at co-ops that aren't being utilized that may lower classifications for those sports, which could benefit the students. This can only happen on odd numbered years, so any changes would be in the 2025 school year. And we'll know more after we receive results from a student survey that'll be sent out at the end of this year, and the committee will come back with recommendations for that. Due to a drop in enrollment, classifications will go down to 4A for football and 3A for volleyball. And that's about all we had.
Any questions for Paulie? All right, thank you. Personnel negotiations, Tracy?
Currently, our committee is working on the support staff and the secretary group contracts. As of last night, we should have a tentative agreement with the secretaries. Still working, that'll be brought forth to the full board as soon as that's all typed up. And we're still working on support staff. Hopefully we get that done soon too.
Any questions on personnel negotiations for Tracy?
I got one question for Tracy.
Okay.
Going down through the financials and a bunch of stuff, I saw that we use that temp agency a lot for custodians and all that. There were multiple entries for custodians. I'm just curious, is that something that maybe kids that are doing an in-school suspension or after-school detention could be sweeping halls and doing stuff and just save a little bit of that money
I can
and use
find-
it as a learning process?
We can run that by Dr. Redmond and see if that's
It's
a
just a thought.
possibility or
I
not.
saw that and I'm like, why are we hiring temps to sweep the floors? And
Mhm.
I was a little curious about it. That's all.
Okay, yeah, we can
I'm
definitely,
still learning.
we can ask. Yep, we'll find out.
Okay.
Any other questions? Next, we have facilities. Jeff?
All right, thank you, Butch. Yes, our facility committee met this past Tuesday, the 30th, and we had, didn't have a lengthy agenda. We did have 3 or 4 things we discussed. First of all, one of the major things that we have as far as projects to do that have been, or it has been something that's been hanging out there for a long time, and that's the HVAC system here in this building, which is at its end of life. It was original to the building back when it was built back in 2000, and they desperately need to be replaced. Mr. Basella and his maintenance folks have done a great job of keeping them running, but they need some work. And the McClure company that we work with for they're our energy consultant company has said that we could do this project in 3 phases. And that would be, we would do one phase this summer, the second phase the following year, and the third phase that year after that. And we do it in 3 phases, which would spread out the cost of this because it's a very costly kind of a project to do. We decided that we were going to, instead of trying to pay for the whole thing, as of right now, we were going to try to, the state has set aside what was supposed to be the level up money to help with the budgets of a lot of the school districts, which was promised, was promised, and we figured it into our budget, but that's a whole other story when we get into the finances. But we are going to try to wait until we find out what the process is going to be, because this money that was moved in, the level up money is now, I believe, $700 million. It's been earmarked for construction purposes for schools across the state. But there has been no guidance as to how this is to be applied for, how you can go about it. So we're going to wait and hold off and see what that process is here, at least for the next couple of months. But we are still going to try to go ahead and do this project. The second item was an update we got on the Liberty Curtain project. And Mr. Pasella said that all of our permits are in place. Things are, you'll see later on in the agenda, I believe it's items K11 and 12. One is the building risk insurance policy, which covers the whole process as far as theft and damage, that kind of thing. And the other thing is I believe it's called the quality, let's see what it is here. But anyway, it's the one where they do the testing for things, soils and so on. those are on there as agenda items. But as far as the project itself goes, it's moving along really well. I talked to Brett Almenhauer tonight, the principal of the building. He said they're making great progress up there. They're moving dirt and things are moving right along. You take advantage of some of this decent weather that we've had. Next thing is just facility projects updates, the things that we have going and are in the queue. Bucktail Locker Room is just about done. It should be ready to go according to what Rob said next week. There's Woodward fencing. It's been ordered and it'll be completed probably when the weather breaks here in the spring. We talked about some lighting issues at the middle school that will be checked into. Concrete work at Renova and the middle school, Central Mountain Middle School for ADA access and fire drill spaces. Mr. Pacella is going to get some prices for that. The Mill Hall Elementary HVAC Unit 1A installation is just about done. The land project at the middle school is going to be completed here in the early spring. And we're waiting on the design for doing some work on the canopy at the Central Mountain Middle School too. Homestead Katy Drive issue. This is something that was brought to our attention about a year ago. Water runoff over there behind the condos in the Homestead State area. The district did some surveying there and it was determined that really what we've been doing has been appropriate. We asked contacted the Baldy Township supervisors to see if they would be interested in doing the water flow study, I guess it is, which would cost almost $5,000, and the township has declined to pay for that. So now it's going to have to go back to the homeowners, which we're going to contact them and talk to them and let them know what the results have been. And we also, committee asked Alyssa Wigenfeld from McClure to give us a solar presentation at some point whenever their schedule permits, and the same with Wes Faringer. He was going to give us some information about DCNR grants and how to go about getting them. So, and that was about it.
Any questions on finance for Jeff?
Facilities.
Or facilities, I'm sorry, facilities. Elizabeth?
Yes, thank you. I have some good news. Wes Faringer is available. Like we talked about in the meeting, we were going to invite him for the next facilities committee meeting. So he just needs Tracy Long or someone to contact him, and he's available. So that would be great.
Is he going to contact Tracy, or do you want Tracy to contact him?
Oh, Tracy needs to contact him, yes. But he's available for our facilities meeting in February.
Could you make sure she has all the contact information?
Sure, I'd love to. This is exciting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, and moving next to finance. Jeff?
I guess that's me too. I'll try to go through this quickly. We had, Joni was there, the first item on our agenda that, again, we met the same day, same afternoon, following facilities on the 30th. Joni was there to present basically, I think, the same presentation you just saw here this evening, giving us an end of the year update as to where we are with the numbers, the fund balance, and so on. And she talked about shifting some of those amounts of monies from the fund balance into the 1.7, and the ones that you will see items K, 3, and 4 on the agenda. Once we get down there into that portion of it. And we talked about those two resolutions, but moving those two sets of money, the 1.7 to help with the Liberty Curtain project, and the 640,000 that will be moved and earmarked for the capital projects that we had, many of them, the ones that I just mentioned. She then gave us a budget update on the timelines, which we usually see at this time of year. The business manager comes and gives us an outline of where we are, where we need to be. There are certain benchmarks as you go along through the budget process. The next one is for we have to have like the general fund budget set up by the middle of March. And then we go on and we have to have our budget, regular budget ready to go by May and final budget in June. So she went over that timeline with us, explained the difference, what we do with the fund balance, where it stands. She gave us just a basic process through the whole budgeting process. So, and I'm sure if any of the members have any specific questions, she'd be happy to sit down with you and go into that a little more detail. She talked about the CD. We've had $7 million invested in the CD for the last year. It expires here on March 1st in 1 month. And we have earned a profit of about, well, it's exactly $372,960 through the investment of that money through the past year. Unfortunately, the CD rates have dropped recently. And so she's recommending, which makes a lot of sense, that we put that money into a general fund money market, which will bring in 4% interest on it, a rate of 4% interest on that. By doing that, it allows it to stay, the amount of money to stay liquid in case we would need to use that for whatever purpose in the meantime. And then we'll monitor the CD rates because they have been fluctuating a great deal recently. So if we see that it goes up and it's a good time to maybe invest it, then we can do that maybe over the next few months. But at this point, that was her recommendation, which I think was pretty wise at this point. We discussed there was a number of school fiscal code changes, that we, as I mentioned earlier, the level up money has been now moved into a construction type of thing for school districts, but we're still waiting for more information, as is typical with when you're dealing with the state and so on, because they don't always do things in a timely manner. The last item was that she brought to our attention was that we're going to do some RFPs for looking at all of our district insurance, our properties, vehicle, workman's comp, employee benefits, healthcare, just to see what we can do as far as being fiscally responsible, as far as trying to get the best rates for everything that we're paying for. I mean, insurance rates and everything, as you know, has gone up, especially healthcare. And healthcare is extremely expensive. I don't need to tell any of you that because I know that you're aware of that. But for our district, it's a very costly item. And I think if we can shop around and get the best deal for that, I think it would certainly be to our financial advantage. So I think that with that, we pretty well, we covered quite a bit of ground that day. And I think hopefully, we'll be able to get our budget, work on it, and get it in pretty good shape by time it's due. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions for Jeff on finance? Nope. Last but not least, safety and security. Chris, it's you again.
Yeah, on January 18th, Dr. Zangara, myself, and Ms. Carlson met. We ended up finally contacting Mr. Elling by telephone. He was able to attend due to some personal reasons. And he kind of threw me into the committee chair. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
So we went ahead and had a meeting, and for actually 3 of us there, we actually got a lot accomplished. Dr. Zangara stated Scott, Teresa, and himself are working on editing and updating the emergency operations plan. And they are also getting input from local emergency groups, fire, EMS, EMA, a whole bunch of it together. They're actually planning some tabletop exercises this year. I don't want to read all the scenarios they're going to do, but they're going to do quite a bit of different stuff just to get everybody on the same group and go. School safety and the security meetings are going to occur monthly with him and the safety officers. The security team is going to walk around Lock Haven University to get familiar with the area. They want to keep practicing and involving other groups into the scenarios as well. The safety officers have asked that they get contracts. I fully support that. These guys, if something bad happens in a school, they're the ones putting their life between any student, parent, teacher, or any one of us. They're the ones protecting us, and I think they deserve individual contracts. So he's working with them on what they want and what they would like to do. There are many PCCD grants being released and coming up. They're looking at some new radios, possibly a new swipe system. I brought up a system called Visiplex for them to look into. And it's kind of like a button that you can wear around your neck for the teachers and people in the school, that if an incident would happen and they're not close to a phone or radio, if an emergency happens, they touch that button, it alerts everybody right where they are and there's an issue. And they can be talked to and everything. And that was a system called Visiplex that I've seen in action before. So we're just going to look at some different options and what we can do to help with safety. And that's pretty much the gist of it.
Kind of like that, us old people have the button when they fall.
Yep, it's on the same, same thing.
I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say
Us old people have
it.
it. But, okay, hey, thank you, Chris. Any questions for Chris? Thank you.
Yep.
All right, moving right down now to information discussion items. We have the treasurer report. Anyone have any questions on the treasurer's report? Financial report? Any questions on the financial report? Enrollment report. Any questions on the enrollment report?
I saw that we lost a couple, about 100 kids.
In the last year?
Over the last year,
Yes.
yeah.
Fluctuates quite a bit.
Yeah.
Next, we have under board, item 8, the superintendent attendance for the PASA Leadership Forum. I believe that's in Hershey. Talk about that, please.
Sure. This is a annual conference that the superintendent's organization puts on. It's a chance for us to learn about what's happening with the state legislature, the legislative platform that PSBA and PASA and the other groups are pushing towards to help get some legislation passed that are helpful for schools. It will also help me get to know a lot of the superintendents in the area and the state a lot better and connect with the larger network of superintendents. So as you may know, in my contract is a provision for me to ask for permission from the board for me to go on these conferences. So I'm asking for your permission to go to this.
Any questions on that? Next is the Penn School Safety Institute PSBA Conference. I believe that's in Mechanicsburg. Chris asked to attend to that. Speaking out of it.
Dr. Zangara is going to that. and I want to go to it, being on the safety committee now. It's a one-day course on getting updated on new safety and security systems the schools can use, different ideas, bounce ideas off of the professionals, and see if we can come up with some better routines.
Any questions on that?
Um,
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Yes, thank you, Chris, for doing this. There are conferences, and I was fortunate enough to attend one, not the same one, but the networking and the information and the different outlooks and what people are doing. I hope you find it as productive as I did the last one I went to in October. So thank you for stepping up to the plate, and we look forward to hearing the outcomes.
Okay.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Moving under I, policy for first read. We have policy 701, the naming rights. Anyone else have any questions on the 701?
Yeah.
President- Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
You'll be answering.
Oh.
Elizabeth in there first. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Oh, okay, thank you. Dr. Martin, last time we spoke about this, she had said that they were working on the back end parts of the policy, and I just want to make sure that those back end parts have all been reviewed. The solicitor has reviewed this. I just want to make sure before we vote on it next week.
We send it to PSBA for them to review it.
What Tracy just told me is that after we approve it, it'll be sent to PSBA to approve and make sure they approve of it.
Sure.
I think, maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but are you asking about the parts of that policy that we have yet to develop, such as?
Yeah.
the
Yes, she said
makeup-
she's been working on it, so I don't know where that is, because
Or no, we have to have a makeup of a committee that I didn't know who was working on. That's a question I was gonna have when we started talking about this more. The makeup of the committee that helps with the designation, and there's a form required to be filled out.
that's it. That's what she's working on, so I don't know if she completed it. I haven't seen anything, so I just want to make sure we're all in the same, boat here before we vote on it, because definitely, I mean, I've been waiting for this one for a year plus, so, but I just want to make sure all our ducks are in a row. And whoever would look into that, I appreciate it.
The policy will tell us what we have to do, and it's those little things like you're talking about, I was asking about, that we have to develop that goes along with the policy, so.
Okay, but I'm saying Dr. Martin said she was working on that, and I don't know where she was or who has her work that she was doing. I have no idea how far she went. I haven't seen anything.
Elizabeth, I can give you an update on that in the next meeting, in the voting meeting, when you take a
That
look
would
at
be
it.
lovely. Yeah, we don't need anything tonight. I'm just putting it out there. Thank you so much.
Okay, Chris, you had something?
I kind of looked into that because that was our first meeting and whatnot. And there are some questions I have about it that I think we all need to look at. I'm full on for our school staying Keystone Central School District. Our students are behind that, our teachers, we all flaunt that banner. Some things could be named, like we got Don Milanek Stadium and whatnot, but I'm not in favor of changing building names and everything else for the highest bidder. I don't think our school should be for sale. I understand people's good intentions behind it and everything else, but I don't want to lose who we are as Keystone Central. I have to look at a lot of cost with name changes, signs. If we have somebody donate $1 million, how long do they get their name on that building? Because it's going to be confusing if somebody the next year says, I'll give $1.5 million, then we have to bear the cost of changing the names, doing all the legal paperwork. So there's a lot of questions I have on that. And then what I have on this policy, there's nothing on the length of a term or anything like that. So there's some questions I have. and I looked into some other schools and was given one about other schools that name district facilities. And they cover a lot of my questions and their things. So I want to get with Elizabeth and go over it and maybe put this on the back burner for now till we can all sit down in a policy meeting and go over it and look at some of the other items.
Chris, would you mind sharing that with me as well so I can?
No, I'd be glad to.
Thank you.
I'd be glad to.
Go ahead,
It's just some
Elizabeth.
questions.
Yeah, Chris, you actually touched on all the things that we had talked about previous to you being on the board. So that's why Dr. Martin was working on all of those details. So, and yes, you're absolutely correct. These are for building, not for the buildings per se, but for, equipment or what. The sky's the limit. So we'll just wait till Dr. Redmond can get back to us, and hopefully that'll answer our questions.
Absolutely, because the one that we were gonna proceed with speaks about none of this.
That's why, that was the back end of the paperwork.
Okay.
That's not actually in the policy. It's the actual, well, anyways,
Elizabeth.
we'll wait till next time. Thank you,
Okay,
Dr.
yeah.
Redmond and Chris.
I was gonna comment that I agree with everything you said. They were the questions I had also, Chris.
Okay,
And I think we have to look at going back over that policy and maybe make some changes to it. Probably the thing to do would next Thursday to table that
yeah,
until we put it back to the policy committee and have them review it. I think we have to look at a time frame and
there's a lot of things to be
Nobody-
worked out.
nobody's intending and changing the name of the school district. And I don't think we're gonna ever change the name of buildings.
Well, when you're doing naming rights and you're talking about changing name of
So-
buildings,
Yeah.
I got
So that's
questions
stuff we
on
have
that.
to, I think the
Just makes
policy
us
has
look
good
like we're for
intentions.
sale.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it makes it look like. We're for
Okay.
sale.
The policy has a good intentions, but I think we need to go back to the policy committee. And review a lot of these things and work on it. So I would suggest that next week we table that.
Yep.
Send it back to committee and go over it again.
Yeah.
With a fine tooth comb and get some of these questions answered. Okay. Next,
I'll just lead right into it. In the policy committee, it came up for first read. Under PSBA, we're recommended to retire policy 248, which is student unlawful harassment, and policy 348, unlawful harassment for employees, for staff. The language is redundant, and it's included in the newer policies of policy 103, discrimination, Title IX, sexual harassment affecting students, and policy 104, the same instance at the PSBA suggestion. So it's just essentially, we have multiple policies that are all saying the same thing. We want to go with the new updated ones.
in essence, we're removing 248 and 348, and they're being replaced with policy 103 and 104.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions on that, anyone? Then next we have the minutes from our different work sessions, voting meetings, the other different committee meetings. Any questions on any of the minutes?
President
Elizabeth.
Bush, thank you. Yes, number one, it would be nice if and really, it's just a slight oversight, but I'm just looking at the details for consistency. Some of the committee meetings list who was nominated for chair and who voted for who for chair. Some of the minutes have those details, like we've always done, and then some of those minutes don't. So if they could just go through and add in the committee meetings, who was nominated by who and who voted for whom. So that would be my first request. And sorry, the next one is J5. I just have some edits, please.
On what, Elizabeth?
The facilities meeting minutes, J5.
Okay.
Okay. I just want to, it's just a clarification, but it is in our policy. Under new business, I was the one that made the recommendation, the request, I'm sorry. Elizabeth Lynch made a request that Alyssa from McClure give us their presentation on their solar program that they've done for other school districts. And so it was a recommendation to be put on the March agenda. And the committee discussed it, and they felt it was strong enough that it should go on the March agenda for the work session or the voting meeting, whichever one will work with Alicia's schedule. So that was for March, not to be scheduled when it permits. And the other one for West Faringer, I did make a formal request that it go on the February agenda for the Facilities Committee. And that would be in February. So little detail, but we did talk about it and there were dates. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, any other questions on the minutes? Under K, K1, we have bills for payment. Any questions on our bills?
Sorry. As presented or with some change?
Okay. That would we do that next week at the voting session?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No?
I have a whole list of stuff wrote down on the bills, but I'm not gonna throw Joni under the bus because I didn't get to talk to her today like I wanted to and ask questions. And since we have a week till we vote on it, I'm gonna get with Joni here during the week and ask my questions instead of tie up our time. There are just some weird things that I saw and I got questions on them.
Yeah, like I explained to you, and I talked to Tom a little bit about the other day, some of the stuff that you look at the school code and school law and school finance is so difficult that you have to look at about 50 times to even understand what it says. And for those of us that don't work with it every day, there's a lot of questions that come out. So like I suggested, the best thing to do if you have a question, get a hold of the expert, so to say, in this case, it'd be
Right.
Joni. But the only thing I do ask, if you're gonna email or you're gonna talk to her in person, if you email all of us, because if you have a question, I'm pretty sure I have it. or
Right.
Roger has, we all have pretty much the same questions. So,
Well, one of the things I had was we're looking at a thing called Allegheny Educational of $26,562.72 for a solar program and buying the equipment. Do we retain that equipment? I mean, what's it for? There's nothing on it. And that's questions I got for her.
I think it's more of a Kurt question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Allegheny Ed is a trainer for
Okay.
solar, wind. There's all kinds of stuff on this trainer. It's huge. It's been incorporated into the construction trades program through PDE
Okay.
as an alternative energy. So I have to address that. So I addressed it with a federal grant.
Right.
So that money you see on there was a federal grant
Okay.
that I addressed it with. They'll be hooking that up 2 weeks.
Okay.
I had to wait almost a year to get it built. So
All right.
that's Allegheny Ed. You'll see a lot of Allegheny Ed because they're into that kind of
Yes.
stuff.
I just, like I say,
Yep.
excuse me, I'm new, but I saw some
That's-
stuff.
You gotta ask questions.
I'm looking through 11 pages of lines that you can hardly see and I'm going, "Blah, blah, blah."
And you're gonna see a lot of stuff in CTC that costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this, most of it, and they know, I usually find some money.
Well, I won't throw anybody under the bus, but I just had a lot of questions
Yep.
on a lot of stuff I read, so I'm gonna ask questions about it, just so I can learn too.
Sure.
It's the only way you learn is to
Yep.
ask questions.
Exactly.
Exactly.
All right.
Chair Butch,
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
President.
yes, I'm sorry, President Butch, okay. Retract, redo. Kurt, Lynch, when you're all set up and everything, you know, I've been so excited about solar for CTC for a long time. So when you feel it's appropriate and things are set up, please consider inviting the board members to come and see, okay? Thanks.
He
Thanks
said
for all,
thank you.
everything you do.
Okay, any other questions for bills? And you're gonna set up an appointment to get with Joni?
Yeah,
so-
just,
Okay.
I'm sure she'll clear up what I got
Yeah.
questions
And
on.
if there's any other questions, we feel.
Like, I can't understand why there's so many entrances for Amazon for candy and stuff like that. I just like, where's it going? What's going on with our dollars?
Halloween,
Huh?
Halloween.
I know you're gaining weight, but.
Well,
you can't
yeah,
be
you
eating
know.
that much.
Okay, moving right along. Next is resolution 144. It's to delegate to the tax committee, tax collection committee. That's a committee we have set up. I think it's with the local municipalities, the county and ourselves. It's a collective group to work on the tax information. Any questions on that committee? I think it just names Christie as the primary and Joni as the
Mhm.
secondary.
Mhm.
So, any questions on that? The next two, the resolution 142 and 143, that's the resolutions that Joni talked about earlier, transferring the funds from last year's budget into the capital project and Fund 10. So, any questions on those?
President
Go ahead,
Butch?
Elizabeth, this Butch,
Thank
please.
you. I believe Joni, and if I'm wrong, correct me, please, but from what I gathered from our finance committee meeting is that just because we're going to, just because we're going to give an opportunity to approve this next week, that if something should come up or something, we're not locked in, that we could change things. And I'm saying that just so, and again, Joni, if I'm wrong, correct me, but just in case if something comes up and we get some more money somewhere, or we find we can lower the cost of something. Am I right, Joni, or is that wrong?
I think it's pretty much like we talked today, Elizabeth, it's, we pass a resolution to move the money into these accounts, and it takes a resolution to move the money out.
Right.
But Joni will explain
Correct.
more.
So when you commit the funds, the 1.7 that you commit, it's still in general fund 10. So you're just you're committing it to Liberty Curtain cost. You can also approve at a later date to uncommit those funds.
Okay.
When you do the transfer of the 640,000, now you're transferring that actually out of Fund 10 into Fund 32. You cannot go back. You cannot bring it back to Fund 10. So when you transfer the money out, it has to stay where it is and be expended on the items that we, any of the 10-year facility plan, but we earmarked it for the locker room and the HVA system.
Yeah, those two are going to be locked in, which is, we've agreed about that for a long time, but it's the other one that it could be, it's more it's flexible.
Correct.
Okay, super terrific, Joni. Thank you.
Super terrific. Thank you, Joni. Okay, any other questions on 142, resolution 142, 143? No. Next, we have an engagement letter, Markham LLP.
For your information, this is just basically a name change. So it's a group that we're already engaged with. They made some administrative changes, and because they made those administrative and name changes legally, we have to re-engage with the group that, like I said, we're already engaged with. So it's just for this one and the next one, we're just looking at the same kind of thing. Yep.
You might as well just sit up there.
The first one was with Markham was for Gary Williams. He is the auditor that the tax office uses for business privilege and earned income tax auditing. And he just moved firms. We've had him since 2019. He was with McCarthy. Now he's moving to Markham. Therefore, that results in a new type of contract that you would have to approve. Same thing with the second one. You've heard us talk about Jenny Brown. She's the one who redid the whole business privilege, and she is the one that we contact with any kind of litigation. And Richard Mayer, again, they just moved firms. So that would result in, again, just another contract that would need approved. And she's been with us for since 2018. And just one more note, both of these have been reviewed by David Lindsay.
Thank you, Johnny. Next is going to be Yeah, we're on, it's a real estate exoneration refund. Basically what happened, person gets challenged his taxes and they were, yeah, they paid twice. So there was a refund that we have to pay them back. Mistake in the tax office, so it was fixed and we're returning the money. Any questions on that? Next is
Butch, I'm looking at that online. I don't know whether it was pulled off of that or it just wasn't, whether it was deleted, but.
Yeah, it's not on the public.
It's not
facing
on,
agenda.
yeah.
They were gonna have to strike that. It's not on the public facing agenda. So when I look on, yeah, so it goes 6-8 online. I've refreshed this a couple of times.
the real estate refund's not listed.
No, it's not on the public
It's not on
agenda.
the public one. If you're logged into your board account.
Oh,
it
no,
shows-
because it has names and addresses.
So the document
it's-
should show up as locked, but they can't even see that it's not even a line item on.
Like you can't see it. Are
No,
you logged?
there's no
are you
number set.
logged in?
I'm not, but this is what the community, the public sees. And
Yes.
so anything they
Right.
talk about has to be something they can see on the
Can see.
agenda. So we'll have to
Okay.
strike that one through this time. for this meeting.
Okay. That was a late addition.
No, it was on there.
Okay,
I just
all right,
didn't know
we'll
if
get
it
that
was
fixed and get it taken care of, so,
Okay, I just wanted to bring that out.
all right, thank you. So, yeah, I was looking at it on mine, I don't know. Was it on yours?
Well, whenever I logged in, it was, but as I'm looking at
I
the,
can move it right now.
It wasn't on the agenda 24 hours.
Okay.
before.
Right, so.
right,
We'll strike it, then go back, put it back on, it'll be an addition for next week's
So
meeting.
K7.
So, all right, thank you. Next is the PE equipment upgrade and repairs. I think that's something we do annually that, for safety of the equipment we use for sports or,
We don't do it annually.
oh,
We just haven't upgraded that equipment for a long time.
okay. So it's not the football helmet and shoulder pads up?
The gym equipment.
Oh, okay.
oh, okay. I thought it was the helmets and having.
I'm
go
sorry,
through-
we couldn't hear you, Joni.
Take the microphone.
You know, you ought to just stay there.
Didn't I just say that?
Yeah, late echo in here.
This is actually for the gym, actually, like the treadmills, the bikes in the actual gym rooms at Bucktail Middle School and High School. I don't know who was here years ago, but there was a PEP grant. And we used all that money in the PEP grant and that equipment, that probably was 10 years ago. And though that equipment has not been upgraded or updated or repaired very minusculely for the years. So now we're going in and actually taking care of all the
That's the hard equipment.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And that's being paid for in the general fund by the curriculum budget.
And the same as with the Advantage Sports Fitness, it's the same.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought with the football upgrade. We usually
Nope.
do that every year.
Nope.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any questions on that? Next, we have the student activities quarterly report. Any questions on that?
President Butch.
Go ahead, Elizabeth. Please just Butch.
Yes, thank you. We always look forward to seeing the quarterly report. For evaluation purposes, future planning. I've requested for the last 4 years that the number of students that participate in each club be included with the quarterly report. So we have data and we can track over the years how many students are actually participating in each club. And Dr. Martin has been working on this for quite some time, and I don't know if she ever completed it. I think the last time I asked was 2 months ago. It's been about, I don't know, almost a year. We have a great clay shooting club. And for anyone who's new, we had an original MOU, okay? That we were not gonna pay for a coach, but it's become so popular and they are so dedicated. There's a waiting list for kids. Other schools want to grab Liberty Curtain Sportsman's Club. And I've requested and requested that some sort of contract be considered and written up. So the
Elizabeth?
Liberty, yes,
Elizabeth, that's really not what this is about. I believe this is just about the clubs that are gathering funds to help pay their bills. And it's the money they have in their account.
mhm.
Existing ones.
Yeah, so
Yes, but it dovetails with that because we don't know how many kids are actually in each club. And we don't have any data to support what's the past, how to plan for the future. And the Clay Shoot Club is there on that list. And again, that's why I just want to bring it to the attention that that was something she was working on, and I don't think we ever saw the final copy of that. So just putting it out there. I'm still fighting for that coach for the Liberty Sportsman Club. I highly support their program. It's wonderful.
Let me ask you a question. What is the purpose of having that data?
Yes, I keep getting asked that same question every time I bring it up.
Well, yeah, and I never hear any answer. What is it?
I always give the same answer, Jeff. I
Let's hear it.
do.
Well, what is
For
it?
evaluation
For
purposes.
the new
if we-
people, Elizabeth, for the new people, tell us what it is.
For evaluation purposes, the number, if we have one club that the numbers keep going up and up and up. If we have another club, the numbers keep going down, 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 down. I think it's, it's part of the education of our students, just like we track numbers for athletics. Why do we track
So you're
athletic
saying we
numbers?
should eliminate these clubs if the numbers go down.
I think it's a good idea to have the numbers and track the numbers that we have participating in all of our activities. But I don't think this is the proper place for it. This is just showing the money those clubs have in their accounts. So the clubs are selling hoagies or whatever, raising money to help pay for their band trips or they just, last month, Chris, we sent a trip to Altoona someplace for regional band.
Mhm.
The thing that helped pays for that stuff. That's what this is accounts for. So yes, we'll try to gather information to list the amount of students participating like you're asked for. But Dr. Redmond. if you
Yes,
could-
and also I think that's gonna really help their program too, so
Dr. Redmond's gonna look into that and gather the information for us.
that's great. It's a bonus for our school district. Thank you.
Any other questions on that?
Nope.
Next is the CTC donation. Kurt, you like to expand on that, please? The CPR dolls.
Yep. That was a great donation.
So they have some CPR dolls and they're getting new ones and these weren't hardly ever used. So they're gonna give us some dolls because we now have, I think, 6 instructors certified in the high school as a gym instructor certified. So these will be given over. I think these will go into probably health careers. And you'll probably see stuff coming down. I have to get some more, so.
Yeah. And that's a donation from
Bayonne.
Bayonne Home
Bayonne,
Healthcare.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep.
Cool.
Next up, we have the builder's risk insurance policy. Jody, you want to expand a little bit on that? I think we talked about it. I have Rob. Oh, Rob, okay.
Oh, come on, Joni, you were doing so well.
The builder's risk is just, it's needed for the Liberty Curtain project. Anytime we do a project, we always have to, we insure certain pieces of the project that isn't insured by the general contractor. For instance, if a floor or a gym's flooded, a wall blows over, there's theft, there's different things. We're required to carry insurance on that, and it's over and above our general policy that we have for liability. So you'll see that coming for your approval for the next meeting. I think you'll ask about the
Any
next one,
questions
too.
for Rob on that?
Might as well explain the next one too.
Yeah, you might as well, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Next on the list is a quality assurance plus agreement.
Yeah, the Quality Plus Assurance is all the testing that has to be done. The contractor can't do their own testing. The fox can't watch the hen house kind of thing. So we have to hire our own testing agency to provide the testing that we need to do throughout the construction. And a lot of it's required by labor and industry and those different organizations. So as you go down through that, that's stuff that'll be spent over the next 2 years on that project. The cost that is in there represents the maximum cost of the testing. I don't foresee anything additional in that testing. I think the one piece that still will be outstanding will be anything for the asbestos abatement. We provide our own stuff on that, and that'll come at a later date, depending on when that has to be taken care of. But that's the majority of the testing that will be done throughout the project that from the time we start until actually after we move in and they do the air quality stuff and air handlers and balancing and those sort of things.
Any questions for Rob on that?
What all kinds of testing do they do altogether? Because I saw that today and it was like $275,000.
There's a ton of testing they do. There's a Proctor testing for the soils, there's the air quality stuff, there's the air handlers, there's the cement. Everything that's required through labor and industry is
Okay.
where it's spelled out. We don't put any, there was some stuff they wanted to do for some extra air quality monitoring, was another 25,000. I said, take that out. It's not necessary. We tried to keep it to the stuff that we were required to do to keep all our permits and everything in check.
None of that stuff is included in any of their bids?
No, they
to take care
they
of?
can't by law because they can't do their own testing. So the
Okay.
state says you have to hire a third party to do it. So QA is the third party that will provide all the testing, and they bring the agents in. When they put the parking lot in, they'll be the ones that say the soils to Proctor. When they put the retention pond in, they'll check the dirt. When they start pouring concrete, they do the slump testing on all that. So it's a requirement. It's built into the soft cost, but because it's not, I don't know how to exactly say it. It's a soft cost that we have on it, but we have to approve it as a separate contract. It's not part of any of the general contracts that we
Okay.
originally had. So
That was all I
we're
had.
bringing it forward to you so you can see it. So it's just not buried in some soft cost because it is a substantial amount. But I also want the public to know that we're doing our due diligence to make sure we have everything tested and this building lasts for, 100 years or 50
Right.
years or whatever the life of it ends up being. But, at least 50 years, we would say.
Okay.
Any other questions? Next, the connecting math concepts and reading mastery.
I had questions about what that is about because it
I think
just, there was a bunch of costs there on lines.
just
Yeah,
a moment.
Liz will come up and
Yeah,
help
I
explain. that.
figured.
Can you explain what that is, Liz, please?
These are just additional resources for previously approved curriculum for our special education population. So as we're expanding, moving some of our students to the autistic support programs, we're starting to utilize these resources in a variety of different programs. So just additional needs as we have new students that are identified and moving those programs out to across the special education population.
Are these expendable items that need to be replaced constantly?
Now, most of that is teacher resources, licenses accessible through the internet.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions? Chris, did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Next is 806 technology crate quote.
That I'd like to know about too.
Here comes
Megan.
Megan.
Yeah, because on the
Microphone.
on the
Yeah.
paperwork, on the paperwork we got, Megan, it just shows campus crates and all this other stuff. And I did some figuring out, like the ongoing support comes out to $8.33 a minute. And I'm just curious what this is all about.
So that's, okay, so the software is a compliance software for our title and federal grants. So right now we have ESSER grants, we have Title I, Title II, and Title IV. So the actual product, which I believe only encompasses about $8,000 of that quote, or I'm sorry, maybe about 6,000, is for the actual software. So that's a compliance software. So there's always changing regulations from the federal government and the state government about how we track our expenditures through federal grant money. So this software actually allows us to be up to date, up to speed on all the compliance pieces that we need to have in place, and allows us to upload our documentation of that compliance right to the software. So then when we are monitored and audited later, that we just give that software information to the auditors so that they have everything that they need. So that also applies to the business office materials for federal programs as well as the program side. The ongoing professional development is actually a multi-year support level. So there's some initial onboarding costs, which we actually will pay for using Title II dollars, which are professional development dollars. And Title II money can actually only be spent on professional development. So it's a nice way to use that money because we can use the grant money to pay for something that supports the grant.
Right.
And it gives us a few years of support from the
I was
company.
gonna say, was this a 1-year thing or multi-year?
The only thing that we'll pay for per year is the actual cost for the software, which is approximately $600 per building. So it's
Okay.
pretty small. The biggest chunk on that quote is the professional development that will actually be a multi-year professional development support paid
Okay.
for with federal money. Does that answer the
Yeah,
question?
I appreciate it. Like I
Yep.
say, it's a learning curve.
Yeah, absolutely. And the nice part is in future years, hopefully we'll actually be able to use Title I money to pay for the software as well.
Right.
So the end goal is to have all federal dollars pay for that tool in the long run.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Megan? Thank you very much.
I'm done beating everybody up for now.
For now.
We're only on L, personnel. Any questions on anything on the list of personnel?
President Butch?
I'm just gonna ignore you, member Elizabeth. Go ahead.
Not tonight, but maybe in a couple months. Dr. Redmond or administration can, give us a real good summary on, if the board wants this. We have so many people resigning and people taking time off, and I want to know, are we at a critical state with employment? Are there some places they're just not filling? It just makes me very concerned when I keep seeing these resignations and, taking time off, which they deserve. That's not the issue. Are the slots all filled? Are we having critical situations? Are we like putting our finger in the dam? So maybe in a couple months. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Any questions on personnel?
I had a question.
Go ahead, Polly.
Under the employment section, administrative, it has lead mechanical person, but there's nobody there and there's no salary there. Is there a reason why that's blank?
Yeah, we just made some decisions about that today. And so we'll have that ready for prior to the voting meeting next week.
I believe the interviews were just completed and the person was just in the process of being hired. Is that correct, Rob?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
It was a placeholder.
Rob said it's a placeholder that we know we're hiring this position. We offered employment to an individual, just waiting between now and the meeting next week. It'll be on. The name and the salary will be filled in for next week's voting session.
Correct.
And plenty of time to meet the sunshine law.
Yep.
So, yep. So. All right.
Yeah, I
Any
got
other
'em.
questions?
I got them to come up to say, yep.
No other questions under personnel?
Nope.
Thank you. Moving right. Under M, athletic personnel, any questions on the athletic personnel?
There.
Not much. No questions?
Nope.
Curriculum guide updates, any questions on the curriculum guide update? Okay. Moving right down to adjournment. Do we have a motion?
President.
Go ahead, Elizabeth. Why'd I know?
Yes, I'd like to, is Solicitor David? in the
No.
room? Okay, I would like to make a request of the Superintendent Redmond, President Butch. It's been almost a year now, and this is maybe helpful for the new folks. The past president, David Dietrich, worked with a solicitor and the board on a MOU. And this is the gist of it. The MOU, which is, I think, is brilliant for our safety issues. Let's say a child outside of school is convicted of something, you know, hit another student, hit another person, whatever. And they're one of our students. Right now, there's nothing mandating that, let's say the Mill Hall Police needs to contact our administrative team and select personnel in confidence, of course. And this concept that David had is that way administration and superintendent, okay, this happened off school. We're not going to do anything, you know, because it's not our responsibility, right? But we have the name, we have the incident. So there's a tracking there. There's some data there. And the MOU, everybody on the former board, they loved it, passed it, and then the solicitor was tasked to take it to I believe it's the district attorney. And it's been months, and we need to hear back from the solicitor to get with the district attorney because it's being held up. It's been held up for months now. So I'm requesting that one of you two contact our solicitor, find out where we are and why it's taking so freaking long. I'm sorry, but it's been months. And we need this for our kids and the safety of our schools. I'm looking forward to an update. Thank you.
I don't remember that.
Elizabeth, I don't remember the board voting on doing something like that. I know you've spoken about it in the past. I know we'll talk to our solicitor to find out what a status is of it, and what the legality is, but I don't recall the board ever voting on that.
Just to send it, we have the MOU. This was months and months and months ago. He can give you all the copies. It was on our agenda.
We'll check with Mr. Lindsay and find out what the status is. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what the MOU how would it define and who would the MOU be with? That's what
it's all in the MOU that we had on our agenda. He has all of it.
We'll talk to the solicitor and find out what the status is, and we'll get back. So
that would be that would be huge. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, anyone have anything else?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Although I think Chris got it, so I'll second it.
Thank you. It's motion and second. Thank you very much. We'll see everyone next week.